All right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, it's Moneyline with Nancy, and my guest is with me right now. At the beginning of the program, I did say that the Statistician General of the Federation, that is the National Bureau of Statistics Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Yemi Kale, is joining me right now. That's the man. That's the man. That's the man right now in the news. Dr. Kale, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Long time no see.
Nice to see you again, Nancy.
How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you very much for asking.
We've not seen in a while, but of course, I've been seeing what you've been doing, your work and the data that you churn out from your agency all the time. Of course, because this is a show of data, so I need data for my daily program. What would you say, let me start by asking you, that what would you say about people right now saying that the GDP numbers that was released by your agency on Tuesday that tells us that Nigeria's economy has emerged out of recession, very fragile recovery, but can't feel the pains? Just like both of us were watching the respondents that were speaking. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I would say I understand why they cannot feel it, because the process of getting out of recession and recovery, it's a process. Even getting to it, recession in the first place was a process. The economy started slowing down from 6% to 5%, it went to 3%, it went to 2%, before it went to negative, and then went from negative 0.6 to negative 0.1, 0.4 to negative 0.2, 0.3. So it's a process, and nobody noticed that it was slumping mid-2014 because people didn't. It took a while before people eventually felt it. It's the same way that it's going to take a while before you feel it when it starts to recover. Now, when you look at the GDP numbers, people always focus on the aggregated national number, 0.55%. If you go to the 46 different economic activities, you will see that some are still in recession, are still growing negatively, and some are growing positively. Some are growing exactly the same way they were. And that's what happens in an economy. Everything does not grow. The fact that you say overall the economy is positive does not necessarily mean every single sector, every single economic activity is doing very well. So depending on the area that you are working in, you might say, yes, I can feel it, or no, I can't feel it. Now, the services sector is the one that the public feels the most, because that's where you have your telecommunications, that's where you have your trading, buying and selling. So you hear things, prices are high in the market. The report actually states that services is still negative. So when you hear the public say, I can't feel it, yes, the report actually states that you should not be feeling it right now because your area has not been impacted on. So agriculture and industry was responsible. There are three big categories: agric, industry, and services. Agric and industry was responsible for taking out hours of growth, particularly crude production. Now, the man on the street, oil continues to be produced regardless of whether you have money in your pocket, regardless of whether I have a job. People don't understand that. The part that has impact on their purchasing power is largely in that services area: telecommunications, trading, hotels and restaurants, arts, entertainment, recreation, education, health. That has to do with purchasing power. That is still negative. And it's a gradual process before you go from agri to industry to services. Let me give an illustration. If a manufacturing company is in decline, what they do is to save costs. So they will first lay off staff. Now, the more they lay off staff, the less people have income to shop in the market. The market woman will say he or she is not getting people to buy her products, and it continues like that. That same company will now start cutting off on non-essential services. They might decide to, for example, cut off advertisement expenditure. All those working in advertisement would lose money. They too will now lay off staff. The same thing continues. They too also stop a lot of other essential services. And then it trickles down like that. And that's how the recession starts from one area and spreads gradually across everywhere else. The recovery does the same thing. But now when you say industry is picking up, manufacturing is picking up, the manufacturing company is now getting some money. They will now start to hire those they had laid off during the slump. So those ones are coming back in, they're getting more money, they now start to spend. The trader now starts to see that people are patronizing, but it's not immediate. It's a gradual process. They now go back to their investments that they had put on the shelves during the recession, because you don't expand when your output is going down. Your output is going down because people don't have money to buy it. They are not going to produce and expand production. In the process, they hire again more people. All the non-essential services they had cut down during this research, they now start engaging them again. And then, so it's a gradual process before people start to feel. It's not something you expect to feel immediately. But it's a good step because it's the very important first step in full recovery. You have to first prevent the slump, stop it from getting worse. And that's what has happened. When we say, all we have said is GDP is no longer slumpy. At least we've stopped it. A 0.5% growth is not suggesting that everything is well. It's just saying that at least that slump has stopped. That's the first stage. Yeah. It has stopped. Then you build on that over time. You take yourself back to where you were before the slump even started in the first place. And from there, you now make a more sustainable, inclusive growth going forward. So there are different stages and different steps. There's nowhere in the report that we said we're out of recession. That means Nigerians are all fantastic, all can eat. Unemployment, we didn't say that. Unemployment, inflation, GDP growth, which has to do with recession, are three different concepts. And that's why when we say stagflation, it is decline, is negative growth of GDP, which is recession, high inflation, and so that already tells you that those three things are not the same thing. There are three different indicators that should not be mixed together. So when I hear the comments, a lot of people are referring to a lot of things that doesn't have anything to do with recession or GDP, and I think it's partly to do or largely to do with their understanding of, or lack of understanding of, economic terms, statistical terms, and taking things literally. Okay. Out of recession does not mean that the economy is now fully regenerated. It just means that the slump has been corrected. We're no longer growing negatively, and from there, before you can grow, you have to at least stop declining, and that's a very important first step in the entire process.
Yeah. Okay. Let me.